Video bites from ulearn.photography. Here's our principal, Simon Q. Walden.
Hello, welcome to another quick video tip. And on today's video bite, Hello and welcome to another quick video bite. And today I just want to talk about, very briefly, about shutter release and time-lapse photography and the two types of time-lapse photography. So the first type is where you've got a single long exposure, maybe an exposure measured in many seconds or even many minutes or even hours. That's one kind of time-lapse. And there one frame, one photo frame, will record any light's movement on the frame. The classic example is those rotating star fields that you see where there's the star trail arcs across the image. And then there's the other kind of time-lapse, which is the many exposures over a long period of time. Now they may be very short exposures, and essentially it becomes a speeded up film is effectively what you're shooting. Now we use the same phrase to cover both types of shot, and there is now a shift towards using the phrase hyperlapse for that latter type of multiple exposures of these speeded up frames, in other words. And obviously in one case you're producing a still, and in the other case you're producing a video. But the techniques essentially are the same for both of them. You need a well-mounted camera, so pretty much it's going to be tripod mounted. You want a really good heavy-duty tripod. You may even want to weigh it down. That's why a lot of tripods have a little hook on the bottom so you can hang a sandbag or a water bag on them to give it extra weight to hold it firm, because you don't want any jiggle at all. You may well use the mirror lockup function on your camera. Now, as you know, when you take a picture on a DSLR camera, the mirror flips up out of the way and then flips back down again. And the argument is, and I don't know if I'm entirely convinced by this, but the argument is that flip does introduce a slight amount of camera shake. Now I think on any kind of long shot that's not going to be visible, but it can be an issue for macro work. You probably want to use a remote release or a timer release on the camera, because you don't want to be just pushing on the corner of the camera to press that shutter button, and because that of itself might just cause a little shift, a little compression of the camera or a little compression on the tripod. Not so obviously is you want to turn off image stabilization, because normally you want image stabilization on, and what it's doing is little gyros in the lens or in the camera are automatically compensating for any fractional movement. However, when the camera's all locked down like that, what's happening is those little gyros are dead still, and they're trying to, and what you can get, particularly on older versions of image stabilization, is you'll actually get a little bit of judder from the stabilization of that element itself. And of course, it also will use up your battery, which can often be a significant part of the long exposure program. So there you go. So long exposure, whether it's a single image or whether it's many, many images, you want a well-mounted camera. You might want to use the mirror lockup function. You certainly want to use some kind of remote release or the timer release on your camera, and you want to turn off image stabilization.
Subscribe now for regular tips and updates. To find out more, go to ulearn.photography.